Hi, in this video I'm going to talk a little about how I keep up with the various AI news in terms of agent framework and AI in general across YouTube, websites, GitHub and others because it's getting kind of hard to keep up with everything, but I'm going to share with you what sources I use in order to keep up with the AI news. So let's jump into it. And the first thing is YouTube channels. I'm a huge consumer of YouTube. I learn best from videos and not just reading. So this is my main source of getting my news. And the first one is a channel called AI Explained. It's a channel that mostly focuses on when new models arrive. For example, Opus 4.8 arrived a week ago as of this recording. So this guy is really, really good at explaining what's behind the new release, because there's so many YouTube videos that I say, oh, it's the biggest and greatest model. They make a one-shot prompt of building some kind of game and such things. This guy goes in and does more deep dives. He reads all the model cards, all the details, and finds all the other things that most of the videos out there doesn't find. In this case, you can see it says 15 things you may missed. So he's really, really matter-of-factly, not any hype or anything, just what is good, what is bad. So whenever a new model comes out, I'm always waiting for his video to drop as well to get all the details. Second channel I follow is Andrew Karpathy's channel. Andrew Karpathy was one of the co-founders of OpenAI. He then moved to Tesla, and then he started his own thing called Eureka Labs, where he began to make educational videos. Lately, he has joined Anthropic, so I don't know how many videos that will come out. But one of his greatest videos is how ChatGPT works behind the scenes, a 3.5 hour long video that I have mentioned a few times on the channel before. And for that one alone, he is worth following. Next up is a bit more far out there. A guy called Peter H. Diamandis, tech billionaire, and he have a podcast called Moonshots, where he talk with other tech billionaires and people about AI, and it's more the far future AI. They think AGI is already there, so it's a bit more high thoughts and not into the details and stuff, but it's a kind of good way of checking out what the really, really far people out there that thinks about robots and all kinds of things are in the future. It might get a little too much what they talk about and say everything is just great. It's easy being great when they're all multimillionaires, all of them. But it's kind of a good podcast that I follow every time they release. Then I follow Fio, or D3 GG. He's a software developer and have lately gone more into AI. I really like his channel, not because he used TypeScript and JavaScript all the way, which I don't like too much, but I really have to say more or less the same opinion as him on what AI is, how AI is being used. He has a lot of thoughts about how OpenAI versus Anthropic and so on. And I just like the way he presented. He's really good at explaining. I know most of it already when I see his videos, but there's things here and there that make sense. And it's really, really good way to get information about what the more deep dive, while the video like this just talk the big picture. Here we are actually talking about why is this feature not working in whatever coding agent we are talking about. The final video I have is someone called Wes Rod. I was very hesitant to put him here or not, because he is one of those guys that just puts out the exact opposite of AI Explained. He pushes out a lot of videos about all the different trends, all the different new models, and you can see it's really breaking news headline kind of thing. And I never really see a full video of his. But it's a good way to just keep up with all the little smaller details that the others take a little longer to talk about because they actually think more about it. So this is a kind of news source of a little more out there. So I just see normally the first couple of minutes of his videos, what he's talking about, and the rest is just technobabble that doesn't really matter. So that's how I consume him. So I can't really recommend him, but he's one of the sources you can use, and he's not the worst of those sources that just put out AI News Lab. Onto websites, and all the websites I consume via RSS, via my Hermes agent. If you haven't seen the video about Hermes agent, then you should probably go see that if you want to consume a lot of websites in a simple manner. But of course, I follow the 3 major blogs from OpenAI, Google Gemini, and Anthropic. So whenever a new model comes out, it's very interesting to read about what the lab themselves talk about the video. So I have some news alerts whenever they drop a new model, and go in and read about them. Beyond that, I use X.com a little. I have been a user of X in the past, then didn't use it for years, but now I'm slowly getting back. There's some good people from OpenAI and various others that I follow. Not much. It's like 9 followers in total. So it's just a more up-to-date part of things, and if something is wrong with Codex or whatever. I also follow the Microsoft Foundry blog. Of course, I use Microsoft Foundry as my model provider, so I like to know what's happening up there. Most of the things I don't really use because I'm just using as direct models, but it's nice to keep track of what actually happens up in the cloud. And finally, of course, I follow the Microsoft Agent Framework blog. Not that there's too much on that I haven't already checked out, because I follow all the other ways of following Agent Framework. More on that in the next slide. But it's nice to just double check if I miss something. So those are the websites. I have a few other things that I follow in order to keep track of this. First up, I follow a bunch of GitHub releases. So if you haven't tried following a release, you can go to, for example, Agent Framework. Let me find it here. And up here in watch, you can go in and say you want a custom watch, and that custom watch should be on releases. Then you get an email every time a new release comes out here. So that's what I'm doing in order to follow along and figure out when a new release is out. So I need to update my samples and stuff. And this is essentially what I do for all these. I do it for the Microsoft Agent Framework. I do it for the MCP, so the Model Context Protocol. I follow it for Codex, the coding agent. I follow it for Google APIs, meaning the Google API, .NET API. I follow News Research's Hermes agent, again, following new stuff in that area. And then I follow Anthropic for their API. And finally, I follow ATUI protocol, so the UI protocol for AI. So I just get mails whenever some of these send out new releases, so I don't need to go up and track everything in other places. The final two things I follow is the agent framework. They have something called Office Hours, which is a Microsoft Teams meeting every Wednesday at, I think it's 9 Pacific, where most of the team sits, but the rest sits in Dublin. So right now it's 5 o'clock European time, 4 o'clock UTC. But it follows depending on the time zones or the daylight savings times. I usually go to this meeting every week. It's roughly 1 hour, and they just talk about the news in Agent Framework, and they have a Q&A session. So you can ask questions about if you feel that you have some questions or comments. I tend to ask a few questions, but also try to help with what other people are asking. And the final thing I have is a monthly local AI disruption group. I'm part of the Aarhus.net user group, which is our local user group in the city I live in. And I am the host of these AI discussion groups, which we have once a month. We started 10 months ago. We have our 11th meeting very soon. And we have talked everything about agentic testing, MCP, coding agents, all kinds of things. It's mostly about Codex and Claude Code we talk, and not as much about agent framework and stuff, because most of the other participants rather want to build C# with AI instead of incorporating AI inside their C#. But it's a nice way to just talk with like-minded people about the various different news we got, tips, insights on how to use the things. So that is everything. Various meetings, GitHub releases, websites from the various providers, and a few blogs, and 5 YouTube channels. In total, I probably spend between 1 and 2 hours every single day in order to keep up with all this. It takes quite a while, but I find it fascinating. So while other people watch TV and stuff, I check out these things. So that is everything. If you have any other good news sources, let me know. But else, see you in the next one.